To the quick demonstration of Scenario Planning Advisor or SPA. There are many features that SPA implements. In this demonstration, I will only show a few of these features. First, let me show you how a typical user will use SPA on perhaps daily basis. That is to provide some risk drivers of interest and let SPA generate scenarios. Here, the system will translate the problem into an AI planning problem, call an AI planning service, which is the tool implemented by this team in order to search through thousands of possible future paths based on the selected risk driver and group them into scenarios. Here we see 4 scenarios that were generated. The SPA presents both textual as well as graphical view of these scenarios. For each scenario, we see 2 categories, probable and possible. The drivers that show up in these categories show up not because of some probabilistic projection, but based on how many of these plans contain these drivers. We also have some threshold that's adjustable by the user. Now, let's look at a graphical view of a scenario. Now, with respect to color coding, the green are the drivers that we selected. The yellow are business implications. These are the drivers that have some importance to your business. And blue are leading indicators. These are drivers that are a combination of early and discriminatory. They tend to lead to this scenario and not others. Observing these leading indicators could alert us as to which scenario is likely to occur. Now, to interpret this scenario graph, look at any node. The arcs from that node tell what that node might lead to, where it to occur. So in this graph, we have, for example, a natural disaster will lead to business or supplier disruption, which will lead to weakening economic environment, which will lead to lack of business investment and opportunities, and so on and so forth. So these graphs alert decision makers not only to business impact, but also to understand the events that could lead to these impacts. Furthermore, exploring the generated scenarios will assist them to carry on risk conversation for their business. Users are able to do what-if analysis by selecting a different set of risk drivers. Now, let's very quickly look at the model, which is aggregation of all the causal pairs. This is a huge search space which no human can potentially reason about, but SPA is able to do very quickly and automatically. Now, let's go through a process of creating a new model from causal extraction. Now, here, in short, SPA will use deep neural network-based language models and language processing to extract from documents the causal knowledge needed to craft the planning model. So first, we need to give this a unique name and provide some description. Now, the system is going to show up a profile setup page, which will guide us to a 6-step process to create this model. You should prepare a set of relevant documents that talks about the drivers of interest as well as a set of risk drivers. Now, some of these steps are optional and some of them are mandatory. So step 1 will ask us about a set of risk drivers. The users can enter them manually or upload a file. I'm going to upload a file. So these are some examples of risk drivers that we will have for this model. The next step is asking us to upload a set of business documents of interest. So at this point, SPA is going to call its causal extraction service. Now, given that this can take some time, as this is a computationally expensive process, for the purpose of this demo, we ran this beforehand when we are showing you here a preloaded results. Step 3 and step 4 are optional, and because of the way the pairs are generated, new candidates are discovered. Now in this step, you can accept or reject these candidate drivers. Similarly, you can look at the suggested equivalent drivers and accept or reject them. Now, in step 5 is about how to evaluate these causal extraction pairs. This is an important process to go through that would increase the quality of the results. Now, to do so, we crowdsource the review of the results of the causal extraction. So we generate the questionnaire and we ask users to take them. Now, this user is presented with 10 questions. This is an example of a question. Let's go through some of the other ones. So here's a good example. So this is talking about a pair, reduced economic growth that may lead to rise in unemployment. And it's going to ask 3 questions. How likely is this? What's the impact? And how long does this take? It also shows a text where this the causal extraction tool is providing some evidence of where this causal extraction pair is coming from. Now I'm going to end this questionnaire. I'm going to also show you how a different user may take this questionnaire. So this is a different user in a different browser. At first, this user has to request to join this profile, and the other user has to accept. Once that is done, then to do a refresh and have this profile for this user as well. So this user is also able to start taking the questionnaire, and they will be presented with different questions. Once we're done with all of the questionnaire, then we'll end the questionnaire and go to the next step. So the last step is selecting business implications. Now recall that these were yellow nodes in our scenario graph. The easiest is and simplest is to go ahead and select the suggested business implications. And then click on complete model, and there it is. Now we have a model here for our COVID-19 demo. Next, I'm going to talk very quickly about the news portion of SBA. So the way this works is that the news and articles here we use Watson Discovery News are matched with our drivers, and we show relevant news with the drivers here. Now the user is then able to select these drivers to start their what-if analysis. So let me show you an example. Say I click on unrecognized cases and click on generate scenarios. All right. This ends the quick demonstration of SBA. Thank you.